Thank you, Candice.
Hi, Johann. Welcome, everybody. So today we have an event that we are doing to prepare for the total lunar eclipse happening on the 15th in some parts of the world and the 16th in others. We're recording this in South Africa, so our full moon eclipse will be happening on the 16th, Monday. Today is Sunday, the day before, and the intention with this experience is to prepare ourselves for the eclipse. And what I have become aware of is that the effects of our eclipses last for about 7 months. So we almost want to do a little bit of housekeeping inside of the energetic body to prepare us for the next 7 months, so the near future. So that's my welcome. And hello, Johann. Thank you for setting this up.
My intention for the last 2-3 years has been to add one of my primary interests in life, which is playing guitar and doing music. But more specifically, one of my original entry point into yoga and music has been as a child. As a small child, I was extremely interested in esoteric topics from any kind, especially the pyramids and basically anything that looked ancient and unusual and interesting. And what my interest in that has been because it's the mysterious, and there's something philosophical that happens there that doesn't seem to happen in the ordinary reality, like the stuff that goes on the sidewalks and in offices, which is also interesting in that context. But at the same time, so astrology or how the moon may be influencing us, that's for me always been a reality. So on the most basic level, when you find out as a child that you're not sleeping well in full moon, and your mother says something like, "Oh, it's full moon again, so my child isn't sleeping well," then you realize, hey, there's something going on here that's mysterious and different. And now, several years later, we have this full eclipse, and it's been said by people who know about celestial bodies that it's having a huge influence, bigger than usual.
And I think it was Pam Gregory, one of the astrologers who does amazing work online. She was talking about this particular, because it's also a super moon. So the moon's going to be really close to the Earth. This particular super moon, full moon, lunar eclipse as being a game changer, a real game changer. So we've got a full moon, and the full moon energy is amplified by the eclipse. And the eclipse is amplified by the total lunar eclipse. So it's not partial, but it's going to be fully eclipsed. And then that's even further amplified by the fact that it's a supermoon. And on top of that, it's Scorpio, which is the most intense emotional sign in the zodiac. So, and I think instead of maybe moving into fear about intensity, doing something like a meditation is a really good way to heighten your frequency in order for the intensity to be an amazing intensity. So we decided for today to base our intention on the frequency of joy, of shifting into an energy of joy. So yeah, Johann, what are your feelings about the subject of joy?
Yeah, that's a unusually easy and difficult discussion. At the same time, the easy part is the pleasure of just being a child. What's for me fascinating about yoga is how with the most simple hatha practices of stretching, breathing, moving, and so on, one can be an adult and be comfortable enough, if you are healthy to begin with, to be able to move around in the body and not be stuck or stiff in the body, literally, which is one of the reasons why we practice hatha yoga. Philosophically, or in a bigger context, my sense has always been to somehow be not naive, but in a way naive, more innocent, and not get so caught up in the ways of the world as such. And then as that starts to happen, then you're starting to experience much more joy for the sake of joy. So not because you owning something, or you're not worried about the future because we don't know what the future is. So that may be simplistic, but the more I strive into that, then the easier everything gets for me. The more complicated part is to somehow clear away the vibrations of disconnection, or the vibrations that work in on us that's not good for us, that's confusing, or that doesn't have clarity. And yoga, apart from the yoga practices, also has so many powerful practices, and one of them is chanting, like saying Om sound. So in some incredible fashion, when we do the Om sound, it seems to settle vibrations and busyness, and it cancels out the noise from outside. So shall we begin? Shall we try that and just do the Om sound together?
Can I just extend a little bit on what you were saying now? Because you were bringing in the joy linked to childhood. And this morning I was just doing my morning tuning into the day, and also obviously getting a little bit of impetus from my guides as to what to bring forward today. And it was a very clear message that we need to do some, inner child healing, but also maybe using this meditation as a symbol of transformation, or a tuning fork, or a space that we create for the transformation of the energy of how adults are treating humans on the planet. Okay, so there's a whole range of healing that needs to be done, right from the more gruesome tales, which we don't want to go into, but then towards even just listening to children and listening to their viewpoints, maybe, which nowadays sometimes seem to be quite different to the way most of us adults were brought up, and actually to have an ear, to hear what they are really saying. Listening a little bit beyond the words and the frustrations, especially amongst the teenagers, and trying to hear what they're really saying to us and bringing forward as a message for us, and to step forward with their gifts into the future. So I would love us to just hold that, the energy and the beauty of the innocence of the child, that is a strength and not a weakness, as we go through the chakras that Johann's going to lead us through now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, now I'm also going to say something in response. So sorry for all the talking. We'll do the sounding in a moment. So the simplicity of yoga, when we say Om, or when we do a stretch and we breathe, or when we chant a mantra, is very childlike. It has an innocence around it. As an adult, we can hold an intention, such as what you were just saying, Candice. So we can kind of bridge the gap between innocence and the way that energies are spoiled, in a sense, if you want to call it that, or that aren't innocent or pure. So when we're thinking of the yoga and the chakra system in the first place, one of the most beautiful analogies for it is that it's a bridge of consciousness, or a bridge to consciousness, and it's when the chakras are cleared and in harmony, or when we are in tune with ourselves, then it's easier to have an innocent experience, simply because it aligns us with ourselves, really. So it's not something that's crooked or been spoiled or been made unclear in in any kind of a way. And that's what the Om does for us. One almost like a disclaimer, but something that we must always remember as well. It's the same as yoga practice. We don't go to one yoga class a month, or ideally one in a year, or every 10 years, but we make a practice every day in order to keep up the frequencies. It's literally a vibration, so it's the same as brushing your teeth and showering, that kind of thing. So what I wanted to explain a little bit, if that's okay, if we can go ahead with the chakra sounds, is that when we think of the lower chakras, that would simply be a lower sound. And I'm suggesting that if you, where you are listening, that you can join with us, so that you can feel the vibration in your body. So you'll be hearing the sound in your headphones, but if you make the same sound, so we'll make this sound. Candice, you can join or you can mute as you please. So we're going to make this sound, and we're thinking now of the throat chakra, and I'm starting with that pitch, because it can represent a sound that we can all make. So don't worry about the music or whether you think you're singing on or off the note. So the point is that you are sounding your voice, throat chakra. When we take the pitch up one note higher to, we're making just a sound like the end of the om. And we're trying to find the sound here, in the third eye, in the forehead. So if you would like to close your eyes, and we just make, and again, bringing your attention to the throat chakra and one pitch lower. And then to the heart chakra and another pitch lower. So we're dropping down into the body. And feel when we're not up above but dropping into the body, and we're thinking of vibrating at the heart chakra and opening the heart. Then that actually happens. So we're taking ourselves into the heart space, listening, as Candice was pointing out, to what the other is saying or what the other is feeling. And then going down to the third chakra. And then if you can't reach the lower notes, don't worry about it. You can make the lowest sound that you can. My voice would fairly easily, hopefully, settle there. So the second chakra would be lower half of the body. And then the root chakra would be somewhere. So we can go lower and lower and lower. And when I was saying just now about Egypt, I had this fascinating experience. Fortunately, last year with the lockdown, there was a small gap in restrictions. And somebody said, hey, let's go to Egypt. And I went on a tour to Egypt. And there was no one there because everything was locked down. And we could walk around the perimeter so without it being disturbed by a lot of tourists and other sites. And something remarkable happened to me was I could hear the pyramids. And it's got this really low sound, like whoa, like Tibetan chanting. And it kind of completely blew my mind. You're not sure whether you're imagining it or not, but I later did a bit more research about it, and it seems to be the chakra, the root chakra of the earth in that sense. So I'm not saying anything esoteric other than that the earth vibrates at a very low frequency because it's a very big body. So a larger body is capable of producing much lower sounds. And I've always had that concept. Candice, you mentioned it recently about the Earth star. And it's got brightness, but it's also got like depth and kind of gravity. So what I'll do now, if you've got questions or comments, Candice, or shall we just go
I
through the
don't have
chant?
any comments or questions. You can go ahead.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're actually going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to turn on a reverb or cathedral effect, so now I'm sounding like I'm in St. Paul's Cathedral, because it just makes for a nicer, more pleasing sound. So we'll take ourselves into the root chakra, and the yoga sound for that is Lam. So Lam is a seed mantra, or same as Om is. Second chakra. The sound for that one is Vam. And the third chakra sound is Ram. I'm just intoning. Heart. Throat. Third eye, Om. Let's do that two more. And then we'll do a set of Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Om. Root chakra. Second chakra, Vam. Om Vam. Third chakra, Ram. Om Ram. Heart chakra, Yam. Om Yam. Throat chakra, Ham. Om Ham. And the third eye, just Om. Om. So in the yoga tradition, sounding those seed mantras, like with the Om, once we've said it, we've spoken it, and it opens a doorway for us. And then it's forever with us. It's a similar philosophy principle as we say, once you've seen something, once you've heard something, you can't unhear it or unsee it. So we have to choose wisely what we say and how we speak, because you've spoken it out. What's really, really beautiful about sounding those sounds is, even if you, I'll share a screenshot with you later afterwards that you can see the sounds. And what's really beautiful is the Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Om. It's in addition to the Om sound. And we can do it as a conclusion a bit later again as well, if there's time. But it's really beautiful to know that each time that we think of purity and we sound the chakras the way that we do it here, and we've just done, then it adds to purity and innocence in the world. And as Candice is beautifully pointing out, it's a really beautiful idea that if we can purify our inner child and share that energy with others, and at this auspicious time, then we can really move forward into a purification of the world or the planet. Candice?
Yeah, well, that was beautifully said, Johann. And the ancient wisdoms also speak about us being instruments, the physical body being an instrument. So like you were saying, when you were at the pyramids, you could actually hear the frequency of the earth through the pyramids. But it's also said that each one of us, as we are unique beings, we too are an instrument. So we emanate a frequency, and that frequency can also be heard in sound. Maybe not by, and I'm not just speaking about the voice, I'm just speaking about our frequency, standing quietly as a being, that we emanate a frequency that can be heard on some level as a sound. Okay, good. So I'm going to lead us through a slightly different version of the chakra system. So what I'd love you to imagine is that if you think of the earth ball, and you think of that earth ball as being a map of the earth, and then what's happening at the moment is that a new version of that earth is basically being hologrammed into the old version of the earth on an energetic level. And so we are, many of us, starting to live in a different frequency. And there are people that have studied, and some of us can sense that we have new chakras that have opened, that are really active. So the chakras that we were going through, that Johann was chanting, are the traditional chakras that have been with us, well, at least over the past 2,000 years, and definitely longer. But I couldn't say for how long into the past that we've been living with those particular chakras awake. But now we're adding to it. And actually, on some level, the chakra frequency is maybe can be seen in a different color, and possibly even a slightly different sound frequency. So what we're actually going to do is go back down a little deeper now. So if you would like to close your eyes and connect to your breath, connect to the flow of the lungs, and as you feel your lungs moving, allow that to connect you to the energy of your heart and your very unique frequency, your unique frequency of compassion. And as you breathe, just really valuing you as a unique frequency and valuing your innocent frequency that is not to be duplicated by anything else in the universe. There's only one of you. And there's only one heart that beats to the quality that is you. Right. Now, following your breath, we're going to just gently drop down through the body, and to just sit in the base of the spine, in the earth, the earth chakra, the traditional earth chakra. And as we repeat a mantra, we see the beautiful red of the original chakra turn into an amazing platinum, silvery platinum light. And the red can still be there within it. So as you say these words, I am my highest self, so the frequency changes a little bit. I am my highest self. I am my highest self. Take a deep breath in and open your mouth and just soften and start to breathe yourself through your legs and through the soles of your feet. And we're going to briefly visit the Earth Star Chakra beneath the feet, or in the case of you sitting on the floor, it'll be beneath your tailbone, about a calf's distance into the earth beneath you. And as we connect to this chakra, which is a more vibrant crystalline silver color, you might find that your feet start to tingle. So breathing and energizing your earth star, and we're going to take a little journey down into the earth today. So as you drop beyond your earth star chakra into the energy of the earth, just visit the elements, so feeling and sensing the waters of the earth, the air that is within the soil of the earth, the soil itself, even the metals and the crystals and the gems, the gold and the silver streams of energy, and the manifest gold and silver lines within the earth, the diamonds, the energy of wood that is turning to coal and fossil fuels. And we go in deeper, and we go down, and we start to sense a heat as well, the beautiful heat of the inner earth and the fiery energy. And as you become aware of the etheric energy within the earth, we go down into the hollow earth, and we start to become aware of life there. And as you breathe, we can attune ourselves to the high frequency energy of ascended masters who have retreat within the hollow earth. And a master we call and know as Serapis Bey, Master Serapis Bey, has an invitation of a connection to a very pure, innocent energy, which is called the Agarthan sun. And it has a beautiful radiance, maroon, red, orange glow, and it comes in the form of a pyramid. So you are welcomed into this pyramid. So on one level, you see and feel a pyramid that is now surrounding you as you step inside. And at the same time, there's this glow, which is in an orbital circular formation of maroon, red, and orange. And if you sit to soak up the frequency of the original nature of ourselves, being human, the true human frequency, the true frequency of the pure earth. Notice how it feels to reconnect to something that might feel quite comfortable and nurturing, And at the same time, it reminds you of something ancient and true. The word authentic comes to mind. An authentic frequency. Now, as you reconnect to your breath, we invite that Garth and Sun frequency to rise up with us and float our attention back to the Earth star to connect to our energetic chakra system. And to just clean up and tune up our vibration to an even more elevated frequency. So moving with your breath from the Earth star up to the Earth chakra, just beneath the tailbone. And then floating up a little higher into your sacrum, just beneath the belly. And you might find here a change in color that moves towards a very gentle pink, very pure pink, a sweet pink that links to the cleansing of the sexual energy, the sexual frequency, the intimate frequency. And then rising up, bringing the energy of the Garth and Sun up to your navel. And here at the navel, we have a vibrant orange. And the Garth and Sun energy just increases that color frequency, sensation, expanding your navel. This navel connects us to ancient times, back to the golden Atlantean times, which some of us might recall. And now floating higher into the solar plexus, just above the navel, just beneath your stomach organ. And we have a pure gold light. The Garth and Sun and its connection to the innocence and authenticity of this earth cleans and cleanses your fire, your power center. And with the next breath, we rise up into the center of the heart, the energetic heart in the middle of the chest. And you might find the color has become more pure whites with sparkles of pink, gold, maybe even emerald green light within it, or a combination of that white, pink, green, and gold color. How does that feel? That a Garth and Sun frequency vibration opening your heart's energetic center even wider. And here you might want to bring in the children. Bring in the children those that are dear to you, those who have been on your mind, children of this earth. Just hold them in this high frequency vibration. And into the higher heart, just a little bit up the chest, below the collarbones. Sit there for a few breaths. I'd find the color more pink here. Then rising up into your throat, and the throat we find a beautiful deep blue. You could say electric blue or royal blue. And we bring back our true voice, our authentic voice here. And our authentic senses. The energy of this particular full moon brings us into awareness with our senses. So, the Garden sun up and just let it wash through your mouth, your tongue, your taste buds, your nose into the sinus passages, and through the sinus passages into the ears, cleaning out the smell and the sounds of the old regime, the old order, out of your mouth, out of your nose, out of your ears, out of your eyes, out of all the senses. Purify. And then come to the back of the skull, where the skull meets the spine. So it's the occipital hollow area where we have the altar major. And in this region, we get a frequency of diamond light coming through. And you might even feel a few twitches and twinges in the base of the skull, the neck, as some of the old programmings just that need to be unhooked might just be detached by this high frequency as you bring the Agarthan sun into the diamond of the altar major. And that takes us quite naturally up into the third eye, into the pineal gland, into the intuitive space of the all-seeing eye. And you might see this now as a crystal ball with a beautiful emerald glow within it. How does that feel? And then welcoming the Agarthan sun energy up into it. Now floating quite gently and easily up into the crown, where 1,000-petaled lotus of white gold opens up to the cosmic rays. Bring the Agarthan sun up into the crown. Bring purity to your spiritual center. And just above it, we go into our own personal moon, the causal chakra, and it's beautiful white. and connecting to the beings that are white that you resonate with. Bringing the Agarthan sun through the causal chakra and into your soul star, which too has a red in it, but there's this kind of magenta and blue connection within the earth star. Sorry, the soul star. Above the head, bring the Agarthan sun through your soul star and up to the stellar gateway, which is about 1 meter above the head. Feel your connection to the cosmos. And as we connect through the stellar gateway to the frequency of the moon, the planets that orbit the earth, and the sun, reach our attention through our sun to the great central sun. And you might find a real feel of stability as the great central sun connects to the Agarthan sun and the original sun of the earth, the energy of her center, of her heartbeat. So with gratitude, and we thank Serapis Bay for this gift, we gently come from below and above and float back to our center, where we feel the marriage of above and below meeting and marrying at the heart. Unification. I am unified. I am unified. I am unified. I'll take a deep breath. And you're welcome to open your eyes. Okay, Johann, how was that?
I'm having to kind of, I don't know what, pinch myself or something to come back. About halfway up into that, I started to feel so expansive and not out of the body, but very much into the body expansive. It was like crazy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and it's that word marrying. It's the marrying of the outer and the inner worlds, hey, isn't it? Or the greater cosmos and the inner, very unique experience of it through your own body.
Yeah, and then it's a personal comment, but I've seen, so I can't verify that it's like that for everyone. But a lot of people say that what they're feeling is the energy, not so much the words necessarily, but the energy of the intention, which is why I also like the sound work as well as yoga practices, as well as the guided meditation, because it all comes together as energy. So I actually have had a change of frequency, a change of heart there. Something shifted. I could feel I'm going through a portal at that moment. And for me, that's my real experience, so that's what matters. So when we do a practice like this and we say it's for us and it's sharing forward to other beings, and something that we we can share directly on this frequency level. So we're sharing this just by doing it. It's being the change. It's that classic idea. So a lot of the intention setting and in this auspicious time would be amplified exactly because of the collective consciousness. So a lot of people around the world are aware of the lunar eclipse now and saying it's an auspicious time, and now we're doing it as well, and we're setting this intention, and we're actually creating that vibration or tuning into that vibration. The other aspect of it that comes to mind as well is the vibration already exists. It's sunlight exists. It's just, are we walking out into the sun and seeing it? These higher frequencies or frequencies of love and harmony, they exist. They coexist with other frequencies. It's a matter of what reality are we choosing, or what are we tuning into, and what are we then amplifying through our own practice, life, behavior, and so on and so on. So very pragmatic. It's I say it's esoteric, but it's also very pragmatic, straightforward even.
Yes, and I think the practice, having a physical practice is a really important thing, because we really need to, as humans, programming is quite a big deal. So are we programmed into things that are out of our control, or do we learn to reprogram ourselves into catching things before they become a deep set program? So for instance, what we think creates our emotions. But if we catch our thoughts and change the thoughts and change what you're thinking,
Sorry about that.
And then that changes how we're being driven, basically, by our internal. Yeah. So yoga for me is also like we need to fine tune our cars. We need to take our cars for a checkup whenever, once a year or so. We, as human beings, we actually need to do a daily refinement of our fields by doing a physical practice of sorts. And I would love to share with everyone that I think the times are changing within the yoga world as well. I think I may be wrong, but we've been so obsessed with asana and the physical posture. And I'm feeling within my own teaching, I'm a yoga teacher for 20 years now, as well as I'm a healer. I've been doing energetic healing for even longer than that. But weaving, the two don't have to be void of connection. They're certainly connected. But with regards to yoga, the deeper ancient yogic traditions are coming back as important and valid. So true pranayama practice, using the internal awareness on shifting the endocrine system. We really don't have to be taking as many pills and additional help from the world around us if we actually just use our inner tools, really, to attune our bodies. You can use the sound frequency. I used the sound frequency really well when I had COVID. I've had COVID twice, actually. And it got into my lungs. I had pneumonia, and using sound to heal was a really important part of my healing. Apart from sound, I also used herbs, which were really helpful. But I just wanted to share that with everyone, to take your practice to a deeper space with the internal yoga, I call it, that you can complement your asana practice with.
So what I would like to add to that is I'm also going to give you one or two sounds again as an idea of harmony as well, and like the kind of clangy sound I had there, but it kind of reminded me of the singing bowls that I have here. So what Candice is saying for me, this is the resource, and in yoga we generally talk about the body-mind and not the mind or the body, and the concept is generally to strengthen one's own connection physically, which is again vibrationally, to the the bigger resource, which is in a simple term, source, the source of all. And without having to know exactly what the source is, we know that the sun that comes up is part of source. But when you look at the sun, you can also see there's the fireball. When you look at the moon, you know that it's part of the earth sphere in terms of sphere of influence. And we know that our immediate breath is really powerful. So that's the pranayama in that sense. So an asana, such as, if you wanted to do it with me, if you raise the arms and you lift the arms up and you take a large breath, then you're simply extending and opening up the chest and you're breathing. And that really is actually Hatha Yoga. And people sometimes even translate directly, perhaps a bit wrongfully, yoga or Hatha Yoga as the moon and the earth, I think. Yeah?
The moon and the sun,
Moon
Ha-ta,
and sun.
sun
Yeah.
and moon. Ha,
And
I
bringing
think,
it
is
and bringing
sun,
that
and
into the
ta,
body. And
moon.
many of the ancient cultures that our popular culture has revisited, the Native American and the Bushman and sun and so on and so on and so on. They're bringing back these ideas of earth and sun and father sky and mother earth and all of that. And that's really important. And by simply resonating with Mother Earth in consciousness, it brings that quality up. And that's what I felt with your meditation. So listening to the meditation, I'm hearing the words, but what I'm actually hearing is what you were saying, is you're hearing between the words, you're hearing something else, you're hearing the resonance of your intention while you give the meditation. And so the most beautiful part of that for me was when I got behind the words and I suddenly felt this, wow, incredible energy. So do you want to say something to that, or shall I show quickly on the keyboard?
Yes, I just do need to accredit that meditation to Tim Wilde. He is an amazing teacher. He's on YouTube, and I learned that meditation from him. So I do need to just mention that.
Thank you, Tim Wilde and Candice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just use this keyboard quickly, and this is quite an interesting little piece of theory. Is when you just check, can you hear that? So it just helps to understand this sort of expansion. Is so in music, as we know, basically we have high notes and low notes, which I just use for the chakra mantra. And in that one, I chose this note for the heart chakra. What's really nice about music theory is you can have a matching higher sound and a matching lower sound, which would then be an octave, which gives us a nice idea of how expansive we actually are. And for me, that's like a way and a version of understanding the new chakra system as well, in that sense. As we expand an octave higher, it's like expanding the range and keeping it rooted. And realizing again that by taking a simple breath that's grounding and also expansive, and when we add the chakras together, however we want to imagine them, if we're thinking of the world, third chakra, and the heart chakra, and adding the third eye, you get a chord that sounds harmonious. And if we add together the sound of our body, one can resonate with literally everything. It's like if you walk in a forest and you listen to the birds and the sound and you go like, you're like one with the forest at that moment. And these little singing bowls, if you listen to the fineness of the sound, just opens the crown to all the Zen temples in the world. If we think of Zen Buddhism, sound of one hand clapping may be that sound. Taking our attention to the crown chakra, just for literally a few moments, listening to that sound. Feeling the body under the crown chakra. And then energetically recalling the meditation that Candice presented. We are embodying the practice.
Wow, that's quite profound. Thank you, Johann. I've never heard it put that way. It really makes so much sense. We'd love for you to share with us or ask any questions or have a comment if you'd like.